Hey everyone, it's Blake. Welcome in to episode number 10 of our AEW 2022 save and TEW 2020. This is Dynamite for July, week 2. And just as a note, this will be a Dynamite only episode. I know it's been about a week and a half since I've gotten you guys a new AEW 2022 episode. And just scheduling wise, I want to be able to get you guys a video. So we're just going to do Dynamite for this one because in the next episode, we will have Rampage, but we'll also have a big update in OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, our developmental company we have created, as we do have a new, actually our first OVW heavyweight champion has been crowned. So we'll kind of give you an update on that in the next episode. So that'll combine with Rampage, and we do kind of have a pretty big angle for Rampage. So splitting those up, we'll have to do that on this, round of videos, just because scheduling wise, I want to make sure you guys get a video. And I think if, probably doing Rampage and doing the other stuff in there will be difficult to do right this second. So let's go ahead and do Dynamite, and then you'll have a bit of a shorter video for the next one for Rampage and an OVW update. So, all right, let's jump into Dynamite because it's a big one, and there's a lot of things going to be set in motion on this edition that will play out in the coming weeks and months based on some pretty big, developments. So we'll get to those and kind of what they're going to lead to. But we start with the pre-show. Best Friends get the win over Billy Gunn and Austin Gunn, 7-17 here. 55, Austin the weakest link, but, listen. Austin he's in OVW. We've had him in developmental, and so he'll be there for now. But we do call him up to team with Billy here. Best Friends get the victory, and they will be in action on Rampage. They will have a match there. And, so this is just kind of a match to give Best Friends a bit of a victory after they lost to Keith Lee and Swerve on last week's edition of Rampage. So, get to 55. Now, we jump into the main card here on Dynamite, and it starts with who else? CM Punk, who makes his arrival here, and we see kind of a video of Punk arriving. And, Punk arriving, he just kind of, he's Punk. He's just kind of very, open and just talking to people. And then he sees a staff member, and he just kind of looks over at him and says, hey, you, if you see Eddie Kingston, you tell him to meet me out in the ring later tonight because I've got something to say to him. And so that's pretty much it. We know kind of what happened on the recent edition where we had Punk and Kingston team up to beat Jericho and Hager after it was Jericho who had teased that he knew who had attacked Punk, in our very first episode, but it was actually Jericho just wanting to blame something on Kingston. That pissed Kingston off, and so that led to the tag team match. Punk and Kingston were successfully, they won that match, but afterwards you had the jawing back and forth, Kingston pointing at the title, wanting another shot perhaps at Punk. But Punk, here's his response, telling someone, you go find Kingston, tell him to meet me out there later tonight. So 86, we start off here, and more to come on that. All right, match-wise, we start off with Sting and Darby Allin getting the win over 2.0, 734. Sting using the Scorpion Deathlock on Matt Menard here. And this gets a 56. It's fine. At 2.0, not that over. But, Sting is, he's got a 60 for his in-ring performance here. So it's not that bad when you consider that it's better than Menard and Parker. So not too bad here for Sting. But gets a 56. We'll take it. And, kind of another victory for Sting and Darby as they've kind of racked those up in recent weeks on Dynamite. And if you want to see, if you're looking for more of a story with Sting and Darby, as I said, this will be a big starting point for what's to come. And this will not be the last you see of Sting and Darby on this episode of Dynamite. So there you go. They get the win, though, here against 2.0. And then it is, we see a backstage vignette here, and it is Stokely Hathaway with Jade Cargill, and Jade is tired of the promises. She is just going off on Stokely here, as always, telling him to cut the shit here. She's just, listen, she says she's tired of the promises. All she's heard is how he's going to, he's telling everybody to step up, to give her a challenge. And she said, I'm not seeing any challenges. I've beaten Rio. I've beaten everybody else. I've beaten Athena. You got to give me some competition. and you keep saying you're going to, but yet here I am once again on Dynamite with no one to wrestle because no one wants to step up to me. And, Stokely just kind of begging back, saying, listen, I've got this. I promise you I am setting you up a big match. You don't have to worry about any competition. I'm getting you a big opponent here, and I've just got to get everything finalized with the contracts and all that. And Jade getting very impatient. She wants more competition, and so that's how we kind of see things set up here. So 52, and Stokely says he's working on something for Jade Cargill, and we'll see if he can get that finalized for perhaps a big match for our TBS champion. All right, and then here comes QT. Poor QT. Comes out, he's just pissed. Because as we know, on Rampage, which I know has been a while, so you may have forgotten, but Wardlow just destroyed QT on Rampage, and so QT not very happy about that, and he comes out here and he tells Wardlow that, to pick on someone his own size. Wardlow, this, beast, this monster, he tells him, I want you to pick on someone your own size, and that's when QT brings out Nick Comoroto, and that is pretty much your setup here, as QT saying, come on out, Wardlow. If you want to, don't be a coward, face someone your own size. Well, here comes Wardlow. We know Wardlow. He's not one to back down from a challenge. He's our TNT champion. And so here comes Wardlow, and it's set. It's going to be Wardlow versus Nick Comoroto here, and a big one-on-one match, a hoss fight here for sure between these two. And how is it going to unfold? Well, I bet you knew the answer to that, and what's going to be one of our worst matches to this point, but it's not surprising, as Wardlow gets the win over Comoroto, 440. This is just a quick hoss fight, all about power, and this does not do well. Dirt sheet, I assume we just got a lot of penalties. Well, we did do storytelling on this, I forgot, because we have to have the 3 match aims, remember? So we did storytelling on this one. Look, even if we don't do that, this may get a 45 to 50 at best. So it is what it is. I know this kind of knocks Wardlow a little bit here in terms of being in a segment this low, but he'll be fine. This was just something we needed to kind of get to the next point, and that is where we get to the next point, which drastically increases. There's a difference in being in a segment with QT and Nick Comoroto and Miro for Wardlow. So this was just from getting from point A to point B, so we'll take the hit on that previous segment. But this is where, after the match, QT, Comoroto, they're out of there. Wardlow is just beating this other big guy. But it is Miro appearing on the screen. And then that is where Miro explains his quest to get back his possession, and that is the TNT Championship. And Miro, talking about everything that Miro always talks about, right? Like his battle with God here and all these other things that he actually does in reality. So this is pretty much your same Miro character that we're working with, and just his quest to get back his TNT Championship that was stolen away from him, by everyone, by God, by everyone else. This is just kind of the Redeemer here who's trying to take back what is his. And Wardlow's just kind of watching this from the ring, and that sends Miro out as Wardlow heads away, and these two once again right in each other's faces. And we've got kind of officials that are just kind of breaking them up. They're not going after each other, but we get the officials come out who kind of keep them separated. As Wardlow heads to the back, Miro heads to the ring for his match. And so Miro has, staked his claim here. In case it wasn't clear already, which he kind of made it clear the past couple weeks, he's coming for the TNT Championship. And this gets a 73 here for this one. So that leads us into Miro in action, and it's going to be Miro getting the win in a nice match here, 69 overall, getting the win over Lee Moriarty, 509, game over does it. And, lack of psychology here. Miro gets us a 78 in-ring performance. That's good. But, kind of this was essentially done to be back-to-back squash matches, just, Wardlow trying to outdo each other. If we ever had what would that be like in an Ezekiel character in WWE if we did Wardlow and Weirdlow? I guess that's what we could do. We could do an evil twin or something. But Miro gets the win here, and this was basically, like I said, just to kind of have these two outmatch each other. just destroying people in back-to-back matches. So that's kind of the visual that we want to give off here with these two. So there you go. This was just kind of, again, to kind of set things in motion with what is clearly, as you know, where we're headed towards here. It's just a matter of when are we going to get there and all that. So Miro, and I almost said Weirdlow again. This is just ridiculous. So, all right, let's get on to the next segment so I don't keep finding an evil twin for Wardlow. So 69 for this one. All right, and then backstage, it is FTR, who, they run into Team Taz here, and as we saw last week, it was Team Taz just basically going around, our tag team champions, Starks and Hobbs, just going around and taunting everyone. They said they were going to scout the tag team division. Well, their form of scouting is watching the match and then taunting the people that perhaps won the match, and that's what we saw last week with Starks and Hobbs and FTR. And so FTR stepping up to Team Taz here and saying, you know what, no one's going to mock us. It ain't going to happen. If you guys want to fight, we'll fight you. And that is when they issue a challenge. And FTR says, everybody knows, kind of where things stand with the rankings. Everyone knows we're the top challengers. And so you guys need to give us a match. And that is when Starks and Hobbs kind of step up. Taz is right there with them. And, Starks getting pissed here. We know Ricky Starks gets a little feisty. And Starks says, you want to fight? We'll fight you next week here on Dynamite. You want to step in here and come after these tag team championships? You come on. So, seemingly, Starks just said, we're going to fight you. And that's when these two get ready to go after FTR now. But Taz is just holding them off, saying, boys, hold on a second. Not yet. Not right now. Let's wait till next week. We got some strategizing to do. We got a lot to figure out. So, Starks and Hobbs seemingly accepting the challenge here from FTR. And we'll see how this plays out. But could have a big match set for Dynamite next week, but the tag champs not backing down here. They are stepping up, and they're not afraid to get in anybody's faces and accept a fight. So FTR wants a fight. We'll see if we get it next week on Dynamite, perhaps for the tag team championship. So 55 overall for this one. And then it is a segment backstage, as we've seen. Jericho, as you would expect, not very happy, given how things played out last week with Punk and Kingston getting the upper hand and beating them in the main event. And it is Jericho who tells Jake Hager that they're not going to stand for this. They're not going to sit here and be made fools of. Jericho says, I know it was Kingston that attacked Punk. We all know it was Kingston. So Jericho just continuing to kind of play up the delusional thoughts here that he's blaming everything on Eddie Kingston given their rivalry. But he says, don't you worry. Don't you worry, Jake. We didn't do the job last week, but we are going to find a way. We're going to finish Eddie Kingston. He's going to be done. I want him out of here. I want him out of AEW. I'm tired of listening to him. I'm tired of seeing him. We're going to finish him once and for all. So it's just kind of Jericho going off here. Hager kind of is his sounding board. And so Jericho says they're going to find a way to finish off Eddie Kingston. We'll see if they can do that. 65 for this one. And then it is Tony Schiavone with Luchasaurus, who comes out, and as we said, Luchasaurus was going to address the attack from Christian Cage on Jungle Boy, and we said that Luchasaurus would address that this week, and this is what we're doing here. So Schiavone calls out Luchasaurus. Here comes Luchasaurus. Schiavone keeps asking him questions. What did you think here? Every time Tony asks him a question, Luchasaurus is just not speaking. He's just kind of staring at Tony. He's just kind of looking at the crowd, all of this other stuff. And Tony just continues to ask questions. He's like, are you going to say anything? Like, I'm asking you. Your tag team partner just got attacked by basically your former manager here, and you have nothing to say. And Luchasaurus continues to not say anything. The crowd's getting a little restless here. And so this gets a 48. But just when you think perhaps that Luchasaurus is going to say something, here comes none other than Christian Cage, who comes down, and Luchasaurus is just standing there, and Schiavone's, kind of backing up and thinking, uh-oh, maybe these two are about to go at it here. But Christian says, hold on a second, Tony. Don't you sit here and think that Luchasaurus is going to come after me, because that's not going to happen. And that is when Christian goes into a tirade, saying that he's the one that's here to speak for Luchasaurus, because no one else has ever spoke for Luchasaurus, it's all been about Jungle Boy. Jungle Boy's never spoke for Luchasaurus. He's never done any of this. It's always been about that egomaniac Jungle Boy. And that's when he says no one would ever give Luchasaurus any credit. Everyone wanted to talk about how Jungle Boy was the next big thing, all this other stuff. He's a rising star. He's one of the 4 pillars of AEW. No one would talk about Luchasaurus. And that's when Christian says, you know what, Tony? I know exactly how it feels. Because when I had a tag team partner, and you know who I'm talking about, everybody was talking about him. He was going to be the next world champion. But no one would ever give me any credit, and that's the same thing that happened to Luchasaurus with Jungle Boy. So, he said, if all of you are out here paying your money to see Luchasaurus come kick my ass, well, you better get your refund, because that's not going to happen, because me and Luchasaurus, we have a lot in common. And that is sort of how we end this segment here, as Christian tells Luchasaurus to come with him, and that's what happens. So, there is kind of your explanation. And yes, I know we're kind of going in a similar direction that AEW has gone. And if you see here, we are going to make the official turn of Luchasaurus joining up with Christian here. And I know, again, this is the direction AEW's already gone in, but we're going to do this a little bit differently, because I think, so far as I'm recording this, I don't know if we really got a huge explanation as to why they have kind of, why Luchasaurus perhaps is going the route that he's gone with Christian. I think this is the way that makes more sense to me for the story we're going to tell in our save. Just kind of the similarities when you really think about it, Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, Edge, and Christian, because Christian was kind of seen as the second guy. Luchasaurus kind of seen as the second guy behind Jungle Boy. So there's a lot we have to work with here, and trust me, we have a lot to come on this, but this is kind of the way I want to go here with this, and I think we've got some pretty fun stuff in the works with how we're going to do this. So that's what we're going to do here, and again, we'll see how it plays out, but I'm pretty excited about where things are headed with this. So 54 for this one. All right, and then we got a big 6-woman tag. As we said last week, Hikaru Shida would make her return. She does return here in 6-woman tag action, and it is the team of Thunder Rosa, Athena, and Hikaru Shida getting the win over Nyla Rose, Serena Deeb, and Mercedes Martinez. Boy, this is a good team here. I like this trio with these three. I mean, this could be, you want to talk about some badasses on this side. But it's these three get the win here, as it is Shida who successfully, is able to. I don't really like the submission note here, because I wouldn't want that, but as we know, I can't change that. I guess I could have picked the pinfall finish. I just, for some reason, I didn't think it would be submission. So just read this as a pinfall of Shida getting the pin on Serena Deeb here. That's way, we'll just kind of work with it that way. But it gets to 65. I mean, this is a pretty good match when you really think about it compared to some of our other matches we've had. Pretty good match here for the 6-woman tag. So that is kind of, just a way to kind of get everybody involved here. But when I put this together, we have some storylines built in on the women's division, obviously, but the more I looked at it, I'm like, we do have some talent here. And I think just kind of looking at some of these potential pairings, there's a lot to work with here. So I'm very excited kind of with the future of where we're headed with a lot of our women's storylines. But we still got a lot of talent on this roster. We just gotta find a way to get everybody involved. As we know, on Dynamite and Rampage, the 3 hours we have, it's not easy to get everybody involved. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased with this 65 here. So we'll take it. But it is the AEW Women's Champion, her team, with Shida making her return, and Shida getting the win over Deeb. And then in a nice segment here, 69 overall, Hangman Page comes out, and if you remember, on last week's Dynamite, it was Hangman getting the win over Anthony Bowens, and afterwards, Malachi Black appears and just goes off on Hangman, attacks him, and takes him out, and that was kind of how we left things. And so Hangman comes out, and Hangman not playing around here. He says, Malachi Black, you know why I'm here. Get your ass out here, because I'm here to fight. And that's basically, prompting Hangman to call out Malachi Black, wants to meet him in the ring. This gets to 69, and then from there, as we know, it's rarely, well, it was last week, but rarely is it just Malachi Black, because Hangman calls it out. He knew what to expect here. Everyone kind of knows. Hangman's not stupid, but he knew what's going to happen here. Here comes the entire House of Black. Lights go off. They reappear. It's these three standing in the ring with Hangman, and Hangman just goes off. He just tries to go at him, and of course, the numbers game here, getting the advantage is Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews. They all start ganging up on Hangman. 56, but shortly after this happens, the lights go out again, and that sparks a little help for the Hangman here, as here comes Sting and Darby Allin, who make their way out, and we have got a brawl on our hands, as it is Hangman, Sting, Darby Allin brawling with Malachi Black, Brody King, and Buddy Matthews, and we've just got chaos here around the ring. Darby just kind of, darting all over the place. He's flying around everywhere. We've got Hangman going at it with Malachi Black, Sting, and Brody King. It's just chaos all over the place. So that is kind of how things leave here, and it's the faces getting the upper hand and kind of having the House of Black retreat eventually on this. So this gets a 63, and this will obviously set up something down the road here. But Hangman gets a little bit of a, he gets a little backup here in his kind of perhaps feud with the House of Black. It's Malachi Black. We still don't know exactly why, but we do know that Malachi Black has set his sights on Hangman Page, and we'll figure out exactly why here soon enough. So let's get to 63 for this one. All right, and then tag team match here, and of course this does well. It's got the Lucha Brothers in it. Of course it's going to do well. But this was a high flyer. We set this as a high spots match because let's be honest, everyone involved here pretty much, you can get some aerial action out of, and that's what we got here. 76, so really good stuff. As it is the Lucha Brothers getting the win over Dante Martin and Jay Lethal. Keep in mind, too, in terms of reality and kind of where we're at, Jay Lethal was a face when we started this save, so that's how we're kind of using him here. So Dante Martin and Jay Lethal, it's an interesting team, I think. So, but it is Ray Phoenix getting the pin on Dante, and Ray, my goodness, 86. If you've watched the WWE save, just as a spoiler, never mind. I don't want to give you a spoiler on that. If you haven't watched the WWE save, I don't want to spoil anything. Never mind. Forget that I said anything on that. But let's just say that Ray Phoenix is fantastic. So there you go, without me saying anything. So so Ray Phoenix, wonderful wrestler in terms of in-ring performance here. 76 overall, and we did do this right, I think, doing the high spots. We made this kind of a short match, so this was kind of your sprints, just all action, and Lucha Brothers getting the win. Of course, we know Lucha Brothers at Fyter Fest, which will be July week 3 on Saturday. It will be Lucha Brothers trying to get their revenge on Andrade and Rush, who basically screwed them out of the tag team championship. So 76 overall for this one. Great match involving these four here. And then Tony Schiavone backstage with Thunder Rosa. Of course, we saw Thunder Rosa in action a little while ago. Tony's like, congratulations on your win. Thunder Rosa still kind of regrouping from that big 6-woman tag. And, Rosa says, I'm Tony, listen, I assume, I'd come back here and I'd see you with your three pals, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and Rebel. But Thunder Rosa said, I'm still waiting. I keep saying Britt Baker's doing all this talking about how she wants her championship back, but I'm still waiting. I haven't seen her. She's not come. She knows where I am. I had a match earlier, but she's not here. Like, where is Britt Baker? Why will she not come out? If she wants her championship so bad, I have it right here in my hands. And, Thunder Rosa just continuing to kind of go off on Britt Baker. But she says, then again, maybe Britt Baker's starting to realize what everyone else is starting to realize. And Tony's like, well, what are you talking about? And Thunder Rosa's like, well, look, Tony, I think you saw it. When I had that match with Jamie Hayter here a couple weeks ago, I saw something in Jamie Hayter. And maybe Britt Baker's starting to realize that maybe she's not, the person that is the best in even her own group. So why would she want to come after the best in AEW, which is me? Maybe she's not even the best in her own group here. So Thunder Rosa kind of, stirring the pot a little bit here, perhaps, and, saying she saw something in Jamie Hayter. And then, just as Thunder Rosa goes to continue, 60 overall, here comes Britt Baker, who charges in, and she attacks Thunder Rosa from behind, and she's just hauling off on her. Thunder Rosa's down, and Baker just continuing to send shots at her. And then Baker grabs the championship, which just fell from Thunder Rosa's hands, and she's just shoving it into Thunder Rosa's face, kind of yelling at her, saying, "This is mine. This is my championship." And meanwhile, we're kind of seeing the camera pan out a little bit, and it's Jamie Hayter and Rebel who are just kind of watching here, not getting involved, but they're just kind of standing back, watching what's going on. And it is Baker who throws the championship back down in Thunder Rosa's face and leaves her laying down here. So Baker, kind of waiting for her moment perhaps, gets a 55 and does attack Thunder Rosa here to kind of escalate things between these two. So I'm really excited about this one. We got a lot to come in terms of the storyline, but another big kind of turn here in terms of where things are headed with Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker. So 55 for this one. And then it is Adam Cole who is in the back, and Cole trying to talk to the Young Bucks here. As we know, there's been some tension involving this group, but these three were able to successfully get the win over the Dark Order on Rampage last week, which was kind of one of those where it was Cole who eventually kind of was the one that made the winning sequence there in terms of kind of helping out. We talked about it was Nick that almost got beat, but it was Adam Cole stepping in, able to kind of finally get things on track and get the win for them. But that's when Cole says, here's the deal, guys. We've all seen it. William Regal's out here, keeps talking about all this stuff, wanting me to answer Bryan Danielson's challenge. Cole said, I'm not ready to answer Bryan Danielson's challenge. And that's when he says, but he says, I think one of you guys are, because I saw it last week on Rampage. We almost lost the match, but I was able to step in and save us here. But he said, I'm seeing you guys getting back on track. We keep talking about being elite. He says, I think you're almost back to being elite. And that is when he says, that's why I think one of you guys should go out there and accept Bryan Danielson's open challenge tonight in the main event, because I think you're ready. I think you're ready to go out there and get the biggest win, perhaps of your career as a singles wrestler. And so Cole just kind of wanting, saying, look, so which one of you guys is going to be? And that's when the Bucks are just kind of looking at each other saying, we're not answering the challenge. And Cole's like, what are you talking about? One of you guys, I think one of you guys should go out there and answer the challenge. And they just continue to say, listen, we're not going out there and answering the challenge. It's just not happening. So the Bucks are saying, we have a tag team match assigned next week here on Dynamite. We're going to prepare for that. We're not going out there and wrestling Bryan Danielson tonight. And Cole's just, you can tell he's like, guys, I think you should do this. And you can kind of hear his voice getting a little bit more stern here. But they're like, we're not doing it. And then the Bucks just walk off. That leaves Adam Cole a bit unhappy here. And so, so these guys are they're not having it with Adam Cole and him and wanting to face Bryan Danielson tonight. So this gets to 74, and that leaves Cole kind of standing alone here. And that is going to lead us into William Regal and Bryan Danielson coming out. As we know, Regal said last week he wanted Adam Cole to answer that open challenge this week on Dynamite. They keep kind of playing the back and forth here. And Regal comes out again and says, Adam Cole, I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. You should come out and answer the open challenge. You talk about being elite, all this other stuff. There's only one way to be elite, and that's by beating Bryan Danielson. And Regal says, come on out. Adam Cole, where are you? And we're just waiting and waiting here. There's no Adam Cole. And so this gets a 70, and Bryan Danielson waiting for his opponent. And then here comes Adam Cole, who comes out with Kyle O'Reilly. And that is when Cole says, I'm not the one answering the challenge tonight. He says, but Kyle O'Reilly is here to fight. And so it's going to be Kyle O'Reilly answering the challenge to face Bryan Danielson here tonight. So this gets a 62. And that is going to be a big match here. Bryan Danielson versus Kyle O'Reilly. This should be a good one. So Cole kind of pushing things off. He couldn't get one of the Bucks to do it, but he gets Kyle O'Reilly to do it here. His undisputed teammate here, and but O'Reilly's the one going to step up and face Bryan Danielson. So we got a hell of a main event match here between Bryan Danielson and Kyle O'Reilly. This should be a good one. So let's see how it does. And it is an 82. So fantastic stuff here between these two. Superb wrestling. Great heat. It is Bryan Danielson getting the win over Kyle O'Reilly. 15:01. The running knee does it. Danielson a 91 here. 71 for O'Reilly. Gets the crowd buzzing. We did do Steal the Show. So we did a 15-minute match here. We did do Steal the Show. These two, as you would expect, really come through. I don't know if we had anything from a penalty standpoint. Yeah, not a single penalty. So yeah, I mean, pretty fantastic stuff from these two. So this was probably as good as it was going to get here for an 82 match. So that's a great main event. And now it will kind of be the fallout of Danielson has beaten O'Reilly. So Cole's talked about all this with the Bucks kind of struggling a little bit. Well, now O'Reilly has lost a match to Danielson, and it was a match that the Bucks, were kind of trying to be goaded into taking, but they didn't do it. So what's Adam Cole going to think about this? We'll find out. But Danielson gets the upper hand here and gets the win, 82 over Kyle O'Reilly. And here we go. That's our main event match, but we have more to come, and we're going to finish up with something significant here, as here comes CM Punk. 99 for this one. We almost got 100. CM Punk makes his way out, and Punk grabs the microphone, and that is when he says, everyone saw me here earlier. I was in a good mood, and, I seem to be in a little bit better of a mood these days because I've had this, basically over the past month, I've had all these people coming around, and everybody's talking about the person that attacked me a month ago and all this other stuff. He said, I've gone through Malachi Black. I've gone through Chris Jericho, all these other people. But Punk said, you know what? I just realized I don't give a damn who attacked me. I don't care anymore. Like he said, I'm tired of talking about this. Whoever it is clearly too big of a coward to come out and actually admit what they did and to say it to my face, to come out and fight me man to man. And so Punk says, I'm done with it. I'm going to turn my attention to something else. And that is when Punk says, and that's you, Eddie Kingston. Because last week, you're up in my face. You and I teamed together. I never thought it would happen. I didn't want to team with you, but you're up in my face after the match talking about how you want this AEW World Championship. And Punk says, you know what? I think you're on to something. And he says, I think we're going to settle this once and for all. You and me in the ring, and that's what we're going to do. If you want your shot at this AEW World Championship, Punk says, come get it. Because I am challenging you right now. You want to step up and get your shot at this title, you got it. And so Punk says, you want to fight? How about you and me fight here either next week? Punk says, we can fight next week. We can fight at Fyter Fest. We can fight anywhere you want to fight, and I will give you a shot at the AEW World Championship. So, CM Punk putting out the offer here to Eddie Kingston. If he wants an AEW World Championship match, he can have it. So, that's Punk's, statement here. He's giving Kingston a shot at the AEW World title. And so Punk's just kind of waiting. Is Kingston going to come out here? And we're just waiting. We're expecting it. Come on. Eddie Kingston's got to come out, right? He just got to offer an opportunity at the AEW World Championship. Well, Punk's still waiting. And he's still waiting. There's no Kingston. And Punk's like, Eddie, I just gave you a shot at the World Championship. Let's come out here. Let's shake hands. Let's make it official. And there's still no Eddie Kingston. Kingston's not coming out. But there is someone that comes out. And it's probably someone you would never expect. Because here comes the bunny. And CM Punk is just confused as can be. He has no idea what's going on here. Punk is just standing in the ring. The crowd's looking around trying to figure out what's happening. And it's the bunny who just makes her way out. And she just starts kind of circling the ring. The bunny, she's just kind of weaving all over the place. She's kind of, moving her shoulders around. She's giving these different faces. And she's just circling the ring. And Punk is just shaking his head. He's trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. Like, what is she doing out here? But the bunny just continues to do this. And finally, it is the bunny who's just continuing to circle the ring here. This gets a 70, and that is when, after the bunny, just doing her thing, and then she starts to head back up the ramp to the back, and Punk's just still just shaking his head. But that is when on the screen, we see the camera cut to a bloody and absolutely battered Eddie Kingston here. And Kingston is just, there is blood pouring down his face. He has been beaten down. And it is Eddie Kingston in the parking lot, completely just beaten down here. And all we see with Eddie Kingston is there are two hands that are on each side of Eddie Kingston's shoulder. So we got one on each side here holding Kingston up. And we see just the visual of Kingston's face being pushed into this, camera here. And we are just getting the close-up shot of this blood pouring down Eddie Kingston's face. And he is just, this guy is out. And then basically that's how we go off the air. It's just these two guys who are holding, Eddie Kingston on each side. They just shove him down to the ground. We never see who it is, but it is Eddie Kingston who has just been absolutely destroyed here in the parking lot. He's bleeding everywhere, and that is how we go off the air, is CM Punk just wondering what is going on here. Think about everything. The bunny comes out. Kingston's been attacked, which if you put the two and two together, you would assume that perhaps the Butcher and the Blade are somehow involved with whatever is going on here. But don't know. As we go off the air with nothing but the shot of Eddie Kingston, a very bloody Eddie Kingston, laying in the parking lot. So an 85 to finish off the show here, and that is how we wrap up another development in whatever's going on right now. Punk offers Eddie Kingston a shot at the World Championship, but yet we find Eddie Kingston just down and out in the parking lot after the bunny has circled the ring. What the hell is going on? We'll find out soon enough. 85 for this one. There's my tease. We will find out soon enough. I promise that I didn't just randomly decide to bring out the bunny for no reason. 68 for this one. So not our best show by any means, but I think, when you really look at it, some of the stuff just probably took it down a little bit. Maybe even having this here with the bunny, but like I said, this is still increasing our popularity. We have to remember where AEW's at. It's in the, mid-60s. So anything right now is going to gain our popularity. So, what was it? Some of the shows previously, we had what do we have? We had some that were we had one that was in the 80s, didn't we? Maybe we had two in the 80s. But this one, drops down to a 68. As long as we're increasing popularity, it's fine. I don't care. We're trying to tell different stories, and we have a lot of segments, as you know. We're putting a lot of segments in here. So when you combine sort of the averages of all those, it makes sense because, look at how many, this was probably this one was the most segments I've ever put on a Dynamite. That's for sure. So we just have a lot of stories in motion, and that's kind of your goal there to do. I want to have a lot in motion, but sometimes it's going to be at the expense of the overall rating, which is fine. As long as we're increasing popularity, that's all I care about. So, as I said, we're just going to do Dynamite on this episode. On the next one, we will do Rampage and a look at the revealing of our new OVW Heavyweight Championship. And I do accentuate the word heavyweight because we will do the big reveal, and I think you'll be I don't know what your reaction will be to our OVW Heavyweight Champion is, but we'll see what it is. But there you go. There's Dynamite. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. As I said, most weeks we do Dynamite and Rampage in the same episode, but we're going to split them up here for this one just so I can get you guys a video. And this was a pretty long edition of Dynamite because we had a lot to get to. But so there's that. Again, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Our WWE 2022, and now it's 2022 as we've made the jump to January. Check out that save. We're 80 plus episodes into that. So if you want to kind of binge something, a lot of episodes there. Our WCW 1998 save, we're in pay-per-view week, headed to sold out with a big main event, Sting versus Hollywood Hogan. So a lot happening there. So check all that out. And on the next episode of our AEW 2022 save, it will be Rampage for July Week 2, and we'll look at our new OVW Heavyweight Champion.